Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Simon Kay, working for ACTED and the Rapid Response Mechanism program in South African Republic. So what I will try to explain, to introduce now is a full program, which is actually a system that goes from the collection of information to the intervention. The presentation will be very factual and mainly based on my experience, not only in South African Republic, but also in South Sudan with other mechanisms, and based on the kind of problem that I see on the field, which are like very, very factual problems, but that, according to me, are the cause of a huge waste of resources that are an obstacle to the stability, to the rapidity of the response and to its efficiency. So, just to explain briefly the Rapid Response Mechanism program, several partners around Central Africa are funded to implement rapid evaluation of vulnerabilities. They use a countrywide alert system to get the first information and to launch the evaluation. They all use the same data collection tools that are predefined, that are discussed between all the partners and with the whole international community, but they all use the same. The methodology of collection of data and the way they choose to intervene on it is flexible. Every NGO can do it their way, but the tool remains the same. After that, the decision of intervention from the different partners are based on this evaluation and the recommendation that you can find in these evaluations. The tool can be used by all the partners of the program. It's very integrated to the cluster system because all the clusters in Central African Republic are involved in the definition of the tools, in the definition of the priorities, in the choice to make an intervention or not. And which is important is that it's a system that goes from first assessment, emergency assessment, to intervention, but only at the last resort. If other partners are able to intervene, we share the information each time. Other partners can go and try to find an answer to the humanitarian needs. Only if no one can, if no one has the capacity to do it, then members of the rapid response mechanism can go there and try to find a solution. Just to show you how it works, every NGO has an area of the country to cover. The good thing about Central African Republic is that there is emergency everywhere these days, so it's not difficult to, it makes sense to have this kind of setup. The alerts function based on a focal point system. We have focal points that are trained in every region. They are trained to collect really the most basic data, what happened, how many people are concerned, and to transmit it to the NGO that cover the area. They have a little material to do it. Then the NGO transmits it to the steering committee, and within like half a day or 1 day after the alert, the steering committee decides to either launch an exploratory mission, if it's easy to go there, just to check the information, and to implement a multi-sectoral evaluation of all the needs there. And this process between the alert and the multi-sectoral evaluation is very quick, 1 or 2 days. The main problem is to have the first information, which is sometimes a bit long, maybe several days, sometimes several weeks, because something happened and never heard about it. Big displacement of population in the rural areas, and no one knew that it happened. But from the alert to the evaluation, there is just 1 or 2 days. And then, based on the recommendation of this evaluation, other partners or the partners that made the evaluation can choose to intervene on a short-term basis. So, really, the key element of this program is a data collection and analysis tool that we use. It's the same for every NGO, and it's what guarantees, what partially guarantees the reliability and the accuracy of the data that we collect and that we share after that. So the first part of it are the different evaluation and data collection tools that we have in each sector. It's a few questions, two or three pages each time, and else general data, mortality, household survey, education, and WASH. health, wash, education, and mortality. It's really factual facts that we collect. We go to the health center, see if there is medicaments, see if there is medicines, see if there is someone trained to cure in case of any problem. Education, we go to the school, see how many children are registered. For the wash, we go to every water access point to see how is the water, if it's possible to get it in dry season, in wet season, where people go to get the water. The general data is the qualitative part of the assessment. Very open discussion, several focus groups. It is the part that takes the most time to understand the situation and to see what we can do based on that. And the household survey is mostly the part of the evaluation that gives us the indicator that we want. We go to at least 100 people. We go to see at least 100 people just to ask them questions and their, food security habits, on the way they access water, and the way they use latrines, these kind of things. It's very quick, but this is the key element of the evaluation that allows us to have, at the end, accurate indicators and a good view of the situation. These evaluation tools are quite easy to handle. The data that you need to collect are basic, and there is not much place for interpretation. It's very factual, as I said. You can train someone to use them in like half a day, and after that, it's always the same thing. So, with this kind of tools, the multisectoral evaluation can be done in 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours. So you go there, you gather all these data, and you get back, and then you write your recommendations. The good thing that it still integrates the needs and the recommendation from the cluster, which means that they also are the ones saying that we would like to have this indicator so that the members of the cluster could make a decision. So we try to make the survey and the data collection tools according to the kind of indicator that they want. It allows us to submit the key indicators, and it is frequently, it's like not every month, but we often meet different teams, different rapid response mechanism team to see what we can improve, what we can do so that the every partners can act based on that. And I put use an ODK, but that's not completely true. That just part of the NGO use it in the Open Data Kit system, and others don't. But it's still an ongoing process. The second part of the kit is the analysis framework. We collect our data and we put all of them in these frameworks. It automatically gives us the indicator that we want. It's very simple, as you say, it's an Excel sheet. The important point is that everyone uses the same. So we know that there is, we know what kind of error there can be, and we know when there is no error. It proposes the indicators and the benchmark that can launch an alert depending on the indicators. As I said, the good thing that everyone uses the same. It's very, very easy to use. The other good thing is that there's still a part to where you enter the data, even if you use it from ODK, where you can review it and check the reliability of the data, check if there is any error in the collection. It's behind this, there is a choice that we made, a choice in terms of automation of the mechanism, in terms of efficiency. We are not exhaustive at all, we are not specific, but we just wanted something that can be used very quickly and that can be a strong basis for every other NGO in Central African Republic. So this different choice allowed us to have to focus on factual data, which are way easier to transmit to other partners that didn't go on the field instead of personal analysis. It allows us to submit the first information for each sector, each cluster that is represented in the country. Of course, not with the same level of details, because some sector requires more specialization that we don't have in this program. It guarantees that the recommendations are quickly formulated. As I said, 4 to 5 days after the alert is launched. And thanks to the ODK system partially, but also thanks to the fact that all the teams that do that are trained specifically for this kit and for these tools, it diminishes the error margin. and increase the reliability of the data. It functions now how it works. It functions as a label accepted by all, and everyone will know that the data there is reliable because most of the international community took part in its conception, agreed on the form it takes, and can know that they can rely on this kind of recommendation. It avoids the repetition of different activities, and this is really based on my personal experience. But I've seen this many times in Central African Republic or in South Sudan, that someone for different reasons wants to do the assessment there, and they go there and they make a report, but on their own way, which is useful for them, but which is not useful at all for other NGOs that could do something in the region. And then you have to do something else after that, and with a different process, and it takes more time to make the report, and then to take a decision. And really, the amount of human resources, not even money, because it's not the key point there, but human resources and time that is lost there. It's one big challenge that we try to avoid with this tool. And according to me, this is the biggest advantage, that we don't lose this kind of time in an emergency context. So yeah, as I said, it integrates all the added values from the different partners that we have. They can all say something in the way the tool should work. It does not mean that we will accept everything, but it means that everyone is listened to. And if a new organization enters the program, they can easily duplicate it and use it also. Of course, it's not fully automated. There is still a place for the qualitative analysis, but we think that qualitative analysis only is not enough to convince someone that they should intervene here. Because the point is I collect the data and I want to convince all the partners in the region that they should do this and this to answer to this emergency. And with only qualitative analysis, I cannot do it. But if in 4 hours I manage to have score, food consumption score, and a CSI and other data, and I can show that they have 1 week only of resources of food to eat. I mean, it changes everything if I have the numbers to support my recommendations. However, of course, the qualitative analysis remains absolutely necessary. The recommendation that we do depends on it. We can make very different recommendations with the same food consumption score or with indicators at the same level, because the team there is trained, that does the evaluation, is trained to go beyond and to understand the context and to make the recommendation based on the context and on what happened just before, but also the year before. And of course, there are a few weaknesses, and it's really, it's a work in progress. Definitely, it's quite young, and there is many things that we try to improve. We just try to find a good balance. It cannot cover each sector in details. I mean, 2 days after an alert, and in 4 or 5 hours, specifically if we talk about health or protection, we cannot do a proper evaluation. So it's not suitable for long-term strategy action, very specific interventions. It still requires an in-depth assessment, but we try to avoid it as much as possible. We try to avoid the necessity for other NGOs to make an in-depth assessment before making the choice to intervene. Of course, the risk of full automation and intervention by reflex only exists. We don't want NGOs to come and to go there just because the indicator is at this level, just above the benchmark. There is a risk of objectifying the data and the benchmark for intervention, saying, okay, if the food consumption score is this, we need to intervene. And no, it does not work like that, definitely not, because it's indicators that change depending on other data. The existence of these systems creates too many evaluations, because if you are funded to make evaluation, of course you will make evaluation. And then it's, how do you say, it's kind of the important things may be lost in a sea of evaluations. And another weakness is that there is a lot of wasted data. We collect quite a lot of data even in a short period of time, but we don't correctly use all of it, and there is plenty of data that doesn't exist anywhere else, but that we don't use or don't use correctly. So yeah, that's all. Thank you very much.